Hello and welcome back to LEGO City Undercover. This is Bio Enchanted, and today we'll be exploring the Fort Meadows farm. So, this area is actually much easier than the other areas to fully explore because everything is kind of concentrated in a smaller number of areas because of how sparse the general layout is. First of all, there's this small area over here at the where the diner is, so let's go down there and see what we can find there, shall we? You may have noticed the pig on the roof of the diner. That's pretty much what we're going for now. So let's get up there the way we did last time. Up the back of the Octan billboard. Briefly, I was considering using the astronaut to try and jetpack up, then I realised it wouldn't have worked. A little too high up. Yeah, now we have the chicken, we can actually get across there. And do other things upon this area. The pig's right there, but we'll forego that for now because we have something else to do first. I do like this area more than the others because of its simplicity. It makes it still kind of fun to explore, but without being as overwhelming as the other areas, because not having like enormous buildings to like that each have like 19 different things to do that you might have forgotten what you've already done on them, that kind of thing. All the areas are relatively compact, and it also makes it easier to find stuff, because it's not wondering about which areas have stuff and which areas are just there for the visuals. In this area, if something's got like a building there, it probably has some gold bricks there too. And of course, there's a large number of buildings in this area we actually haven't even seen yet because they're entirely optional. But we'll be seeing those later on. Now let's ride our piggy. Yeah, it shows up the hill there that you may have just noticed. I got a bit momentarily confused by the green arrow pointing in that direction for a split second. I was like, what, is that a shortcut? No? Okay. I quite like this area in general. It's incredibly chill, and but without being overly dull. It's nothing like the overly cluttered urban docks, but no area is quite that bad. I quite like that one doesn't actually require a pig cannon because it's just right there. And also an interesting little thing to note is that when you see the pig cannons, they are actually all pointed towards this area, not just arbitrarily pointing in a direction or out to sea or anything. There are actually all of them pointing directly here, which is a nice little touch. I quite like that. That they're actually placed correctly for what they're trying to do. And they didn't just despawn the pig when it fired and spawn it back in the farm, which they could easily have done by having it just face wherever the heck they wanted to, with no rhyme or reason. So, also over here we have our base. So let's take care of this, shall we? This is a tricky one if you don't know the route, because the tractor is incredibly slow and incredibly top heavy, so it's very easy to bounce it and accidentally end up on your side. There's a lot of vehicles like that in this set of areas, and I don't particularly like the heavy vehicles for that reason, because they feel a bit too heavy to be fun to drive. I mean, this thing's just bouncing all over the place and I haven't even hit any rocks or anything with it, really. Also, its bulk makes it really bad for cornering. I mean, the off-road thing makes sense because of what kind of vehicle it is, but it does not corner well at all, and is therefore just not particularly fun to drive. It's kind of a mess, really. Although it's a nice-looking vehicle, it's just too cumbersome to ever just use as a vehicle because it's too slow for any kind of chases. It's too awkward for any real races beyond this one. And it's just generally not something you'd use casually. At least not something I'd use casually anyway. Also, I recently went through Toy Story 3, and one thing I really missed from that game that this game that game had that this game doesn't is that the vehicles in that game, while they're worse to control, you can actually press Y in that game to spin the car around immediately and do an immediate 180. Which in a few moments in this game I was like, oh wait, that wasn't this game. Damn.
Come on.
Whoops. I overestimated myself a little bit there. But it's always fun to see the little engine thing of the tractor burning when you use the boost, because it's not designed to have the boost. It just looks really funny to see it do that. And I quite like that they have it actually come out the engine and not out just out the back randomly. That's a pretty funny little visual thing. There we are. I quite like this area and a few other areas for their listening mission things, because some of them have really interesting, unique dialogue, and I quite like this one's.
It sure is nice of Jethro to let us use his water tower as a hot tub.
Yeah, I can feel the stress just slipping out of me. Say, can you turn on the bubble jet?
All right, hand me that can of beans.
Oh, that one's a bit of a dumb one.
What have you been up to today?
The usual. Firstly,
Wait! Shh! The farmer's wife is coming.
Well, what are you two doing in here? Silly animals.
People must never know we can talk, Philip.
I like Philip and Jethro, they're fun.
Dear Diary, Day 34. I haven't had a shower for over a month, and I've only survived for the last 2 weeks by eating hay and drinking water from the animal trough. Some days I wonder if it's really worth it. But when I think about the alternative, it gives me strength. Whatever happens, I will not lose this game of hide and seek.
And that was just cute as well, I quite like that one.
Right, Morty. Are you sure no one followed us here?
no, they got eyes everywhere.
Right answer, Morty. Otherwise, I'd have known you were one of them. I've been doing some spying, and I think their base of operations is at the sawmill.
So we're gonna go smash it up, right?
Yeah, that'll stop the aliens.
Those guys sound cuckoo. I better make sure they don't do anything stupid.
That's at least somewhat different from generic criminals. I quite like the little twist on the whole thing they put there. Just to have them actually be something different than criminals, but paranoid conspiracy theorists. That's an interesting twist on the usual formula. Although in this case I don't think arresting was really going to do much good, but that's the mission structure, so unfortunately we have to oppress the mentally ill. That can be a problem sometimes with a lot of children's games. They can be a little oversimplistic in some cases.
Come on!
But here they are.
Find the aliens!
It's the environmentalists from earlier, the ones that were trying to kidnap Forrest Blackwell.
It's one of
Maybe
them.
we should have let them.
Stop him!
With how things turned out. I know two wrongs don't make a right, but, you know,
Aw, man.
one of those wrongs isn't burning the entire city to the ground with a rocket, so swings and
I
roundabouts.
don't suppose you're open to bribery.
See you later.
Stop in the name of the law. The usual.
Nice to try juking us, dude, but it's not gonna work out. Bam. Now, finally, we're going to go for something that's been, that embarrassed me right at the beginning of this LP. Now that we have all the costumes, we can actually do this now. Here we are. Finally, we have our jetpacks, so we can get the height we need to actually glitch onto these, and finally get this token. That's been taunting me for hours, that. In-game hours, in real life weeks. And I'm being kind of ironic when I use the word taunting. I'm not actually that upset by that. It was just a mild inconvenience. This is just me making sure it isn't anything. It's not. So let's not bother with the rest of them, it'll just be a waste of time. We don't really need the stats. 53 million seems to be enough. But here we go. Time for the drill thrill. Which are always quite fun to do. They're quite satisfying, although sometimes the cameras, like in these tight areas, can be your enemy. It's also, in this particular case, there's like one that kind of gets, I believe, missed until the ending because it's kind of hidden behind a little bit of a ledge. But we'll see it when we see it. But I think we really enjoyed these. These are pretty fun. I quite like the little like knotted paths it often gives you for like branches and everything like that. So you can decide which area is most efficient to go for first, that kind of thing. It's pretty neat. Yeah, you may have seen that. I didn't. Until the end of this video. So that will have to wait. I was so annoyed when I found that. But here we go. That was the final one, hidden a little bit behind that ledge. Because we just kind of jumped it on our jackhammer. Which is still pretty badass to jump something on a jackhammer, but there you go. So now let's get on top of this tiny little building. Most generic man in the universe, farm worker Bob. Doesn't even have, like, an identifiable name, he's just Bob. One of many hundreds of people in the world named Bob. Hundreds? Well, yeah, that's obviously underestimating the numbers of people in the world, but you know what I meant. Over here, something I actually didn't, like, I completely forgot was here. There's a little brick over here that I felt like I'd give a go getting to, because why not? We've seen it, I might as well grab it while I'm here. And embarrass myself doing some really poor platforming. How'd I miss that? It was right there. Instead of going around, let's just break the geometry using our jetpack. On this rock. Come on. There. That was... Come on. Behave. There we are. Yeah, we had to use that rock because as you saw, those white ledges, we would just slid right off. So finally, let's do this free one that we saw right at the beginning of the game. Not quite beginning, end of the first third, I guess. Beginning maybe kind of overestimating how early it was. I quite like what's up here as well, along with the pre-run. It's a pretty cool little castle, so it's got some neat little set piece stuff going on, not just with the pig and the trees. But when we actually finish climbing this area, we're going to, of course the pre-run will force us to go right back down to the bottom to collect our prize, but afterwards we'll be teleporting using, of course, editing to get right back to the top again immediately. I think I only used teleport there because I've been, rewatching the old retro plays of Electrical Beast. So just at the front of my mind. Not an intentional thing, but yeah. It's not just something we British have with that verb. I swear. So there we are. Let's finally break down this door. I quite like this little thing. It's a pretty fun little addition to the level. It's one of yet another little Easter eggs. The old Mario flags. That's just cute. There's that little fireworks that go off and everything before he slides down and actually grabs what we actually came up there for, which is a character token. I really like that, that's really cute. Oop. I don't even know what the camera was doing there, but here we are by the thing again, the gas station. Because we have our infinite explosives, and we have something to blow up over here. A network of caves. This is a fairly interesting little set piece, because it's the only real place that it feels like the miner actually belongs outside the actual mine. So it's interesting to explore this area and feel like you actually dressed appropriately for the area, as opposed to the other places where you're just blowing up like random objects in the world, like someone's garage door, which just feels kind of rude. So let's just use this little clue thing, even though it's obvious what it's going to lead to. We don't need it. We've got. Ooh, that was. Yeah, it's getting a bit weird under the lighting and the cobwebs. It's not really sure what to do with itself. But yeah, we have infinite dynamite, but we'll just use that one so it's not blinking away down there anymore, because that would have been bugging me for a bit. We're gonna go for the alien thing later once we've blown ourselves up. It's only 1,000 tokens we lose. And it leads us right back to the beach, where there isn't really anything to do, but you know, it's a nice little like not ever going to be used shortcut. It's a nice little way of linking the area together, I guess. So over here, we have a few things. Our boulder. It's always nice when you get most of the 22 objective collectibles, because those always feel really big because there's so many of them. So it's always good when you get like to that halfway point and it's like, ooh, I've not got many of those left. So finally we'll actually use that astronaut thing, which I've saved for last for reasons you can probably guess. Because it would have brought us out of the cave, and I wanted to finish off in the cave first of all. So I won't have to backtrack all this way again. Because I didn't know how far this would end up bringing me, because these guys can be a little annoying to do. So it's fairly obvious this is our alien. Here he is. I look at the designs of the aliens. They are very unusual with like the, it's not just the usual kind of greys. It's got these really weird like stalk eyes and then that weird tongue as well. They really work really well and they're very distinctive and very fun looking. It's not just another minifigure but repainted. I quite like that. I don't know if they're from any particular, the mandibles there too, that's pretty neat, the insectoid thing in general, but I don't know if they're from a set, because I don't really, again, I haven't bought any recent LEGO sets. They might be from like one of the old Mars sets, I really don't know. But they're very good looking. I won't be amiss getting a set that had that kind of alien if those existed. So up here we have the largest cluster of things in this level. A caravan park. Or at least some small like cabins or whatever. Not really a caravan, is it? But you know, it's like small prefab buildings. Generic but kind of cute little like workhouses, basically. I know that has a very Oliver Twist connotation, but you know what I mean. Houses where people who work here live. So it's pretty much entirely functional with no real comforts beyond what we can see. But of course there's a lot of character tokens in these houses. I guess these are the houses that belong to these people. I don't know what he was doing in here. Buddy, what were you doing for him to need to board up your front door? What did you do in that house? Is there a biohazard in there? Cheeky. So he's beginning of a trail as well. last character token of that section. But first of all, let's take care of this over here. I quite like this build. The Lumberjack's log cabin is a pretty cool looking set piece. It's very unique. It's got good architecture, and I quite like the interior design as well, with all the little bits of furniture that are in there as well. It's a very good looking little building. Gives a lot of studs as well. I feel like an engineer always looking for studs. Of course, this is the Lumberjack's house, so what else would you find at home? The cats are okay collectibles, but I find their constant meowing kind of annoying, even if it is necessary to actually find most of them. Probably because it's a really high-pitched noise in general. I always kind of find high-pitched noises just a little much. Yeah, I have some trouble here because the jetpack is actually disabled while this game is saving. So I had a little trouble there. Because generally it's to make sure that you don't end up picking something up while it's saving, I guess, to avoid like breaking something in some way. Like some kind of general like troubleshooting fix that they tried to do at some point because something was clashing with something else. I can only think that that's why that happens. Or it might just be that the animations are overwritten by the attempt at doing the little victory dance. I don't know. Let's get onto the roof. There we are. I like these little huts. A nice little simple platforming challenge, and they're a nice little visual set piece as well. Make the farm feel special. This will have to wait. Going quite far out of our way with that one. Quite far. So first of all, we'll instead ignore that route and go over here. For the final character token of this area. And then I worked out a nice little trick for these for resetting them. Because this isn't going to work. Nope, not going to work. Too high up. But if we try and flee from it, this happens. Isn't that nice of it? It resets you. Probably in case you fall off after a really long, annoying platforming thing during a story mission. It's probably like a sanity checking thing to prevent frustration. For example, if you're trying to glide to the museum and screwing that up for the story. Either way, it's a very nice quality of life thing that I quite like. Yeah, this is definitely one of the longer ones, nowhere near as long as the urban one. Oh no, the urban one may felt longer because it had the jetpack part afterwards. This may be slightly longer than the urban one. But it's much easier because of how much lower the thing is you're trying to get to. We also have a little hidden crash mat up here. Not much point to it, we can't build it till we've been up here. There's not really that much of a shortcut because we still need to find a helipad to get up here. So it's either look for a helipad or bother to do that climb again. It's like either way, you're going to be going quite out of the way. But we have infinite dynamite, so just blow up the statue and move on. Here we are. Not got much else to go now. There are just 2 more things now to do. And both of them are coffees. There's one over here. been a very long day. I'm sure he's tired. I'm sure he's appreciative of these coffee breaks. And there's this one that I didn't notice over here, which was really annoying when I realised where it was. So let's take this final coffee break. And with that, we have actually completed the farm 100%. Yay! And so I'll see you next time for the next area. Goodbye.